Hi, and welcome to another episode of In the Lead. And today with me is Aditi Sharma in her most recent role, country manager for Food Panda in Singapore. I'm so delighted to have you here, Aditi. It's been ages, so I'm really excited to catch up with you. Thanks for being here.
Likewise.
Thank
Very
you.
excited to be here.
Maybe we start, a bit broader. Like, how are you looking at the world today, these days, as a leader, navigating the business landscape? How are you looking at that?
When I think about the world today, I see sort of two strong themes. One, on a social level, I believe that now more than ever, the ideological polarization in the world is quite strong. Yeah. Especially now, more than ever, I feel we are operating under very strong labels. Yeah. The popular notion that the center almost seems gone. So that is, and that is also quite driven by the content and the media that we subscribe to. Yeah. When I think about leadership, which is quite strong on the social aspect. Professionally, there's this disruption everywhere. I think AI is a theme, is a disruptor.
That is
very hard to look away from. As we speak, that is disrupting that the way we work in a lot of ways. Personally, for me, that is quite energizing.
Yes.
Because it also means possibilities.
Oh, I like
There's opportunities to start new S-curves, to rethink what is your brand of leadership. So both of those things, one in terms of communication and messaging, bringing balance, bringing empathy as a leader. And the second one, what are the new possibilities, even though somebody may be mid-career or already a leader. I was reading about how some people are moving from leadership to IC roles to learn new stuff, which is very, very interesting. And I know some people personally.
Yeah.
So very, very exciting times ahead for all of us.
And maybe if we talk a bit about these themes, right? And the first one, definitely a lot of polarization. What does this mean for leaders? Like, how do you go about leading a business if that's, where the world is going?
What is most relevant to me in business leadership context is the communication aspect of it. Very quickly, and again, going back to the point around media, it is, and human beings are driven by heuristic. That's how we make decisions. That's how we analyze information quickly. How do we make decisions in a more balanced way where we don't see everything as either X or Y? For example, in parenting context, there's all these labels. Hey, are you a FAFO parent, or are you a gentle parent? Are you a helicopter parent? The question is, can you be a bit of all of these? Why do you need to necessarily identify under one label? For yourself, for the people around you, for your teams, for the strategies that you take, you can do a bit of everything and find the balance on what is right for you.
Right.
From a communication aspect, what that means is your teams will emulate the language that you speak. How do you create room for more tolerance, individuality, and unique perspectives versus creating very rigid structures where people feel the need and the teams feel the need to identify into either an X or a Y or a certain box.
Right.
Because when you let the unique ideas and the individual perspectives prevail, that is where magic happens.
Yes.
Versus going back to the same rigid box.
Yes.
That's I believe, in a more polarized world, is a nuance or a thoughtful leadership aspect that we need to bring in.
I like that. So it's about, instead of like putting people in one box or one label, like accepting that we can exist in multiple of these boxes at the same time.
Yes. And just now we were having a conversation about moving left and right in my role at Grab. And I think that was quite unique. And I saw a lot of people thrive and actually do well going into functions and topics that were so far ahead from where they started.
Yeah.
Because there was somebody who was willing to take the leap of faith on the individual that this person is not a career marketeer or this person is not a career finance person, but this person is demonstrating the intrinsics to probably do well in these topics as well.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that becomes quite important as you help teams, people grow into newer areas.
Yeah. Oh, I love this because that's not something traditionally that we like, right? Because if I look at my own career, I started off as an architect, a business architect. And I remember in my first company, I was curious to do business development and I was venturing out a little bit until my boss was like, no, you're the architect. You should just be designing buildings. And that eventually made me leave because there were other people hired into roles that I thought I could have also done if I would have been offered a chance. And I guess now in today's world where, jobs are changing so rapidly, new roles are coming up, I guess it kind of makes sense that that's a leadership skill to actually allow that space because there's also risks involved.
Exactly. Taking risks, placing bets on your people.
Yes.
That's so important. And again, I would like to qualify because here are two ex-consultants talking.
Yes.
We have this lifelong romance with the idea of generalists versus specialists. But I totally agree with you. Your experience, right? Quite interesting. And many people have discovered career paths that way. The journeys, professional journeys, even personal journeys, they don't fit into a nice, neat curve.
Yes, exactly.
And I talked to our parents' generation and I looked back at some of the examples where 3 decades back somebody was your leader. What people mostly remember is, hey, this person actually changed the trajectory of my career. It's so interesting we are having this conversation today because I was reading about, Tino Puri. Tino Puri was the first Indian American that McKinsey hired.
Yes, I read about him.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he just recently passed away.
Yeah.
And to me, that is interesting. I did not know him personally. I've only read stories about him recently since his passing. And it's quite interesting because everyone who wrote stories about him wrote about him fondly as that one person who changed the future. So he changed the trajectory. He brought a lot of folks back from US to India when that was not on most people's map. Or, hey, I want to build the next 2 decades of my career in India. This was the early 90s. And B, these people that he brought back have now gone ahead and completely changed the leadership landscape of the country, both in public and private sector.
Wow.
So that is where leadership becomes a multiplier. Because when you're doing it, you're just literally doing it in all of a day's work. You're not wearing your success or what you're doing it to, you wear it lightly on your sleeve. You just show up. You do that little bit. Over the course of time, it really becomes a multiplier. Where you have left such profound impact, which is sort of hard to imagine in that one day. So very interesting to read what he did with people back in the 90s.
Amazing. I feel like, I have like 20 follow-up questions that all go into different directions. But first, I think your point on generalist, right? Have you been a generalist for all of your life, or did you have a specialization in the early start of your career?
I am an electronics engineer by accident.
By accident.
By accident. I saw, like, when I was completing high school, I saw 2 people who sounded smart and I looked up to, talking about how being an engineer is so cool. And I was like, okay, if they think it's a cool thing, how wrong can it be? Okay, so I ended up being an electronics engineer, by accident, admittedly.
And look how cool you became. So you finished the degree.
Yes, I finished the degree. I was a chip design engineer for the first almost half a decade of my career.
By accident.
And then I was drawn to the whole idea of being a generalist, being a business person. I went on to do my MBA. But I think since then, I chose to work at the intersection of technology and new business. Technology cross new business models. Somehow I came to realize that this is what excites me and energizes me, to have an element of new learning every day.
Right.
And if I look back at the last decade and a half, that theme has played out consistently, or that pattern has played out consistently. I'm always drawn to learning new things. I think that is why I ended up surviving so many years at McKinsey. That is what brought me to Grab. So the transition from being a specialist to a generalist, I chose that path But why I chose it only becomes clear to me now as I reflect on the choices that I was making.
I have always said that I enjoy being a generalist, but I also believe in the T-shaped career, like, in these odysseys, as they talk about in Design Your Life. I really believe in that. In the beginning, when I wasn't really able to, verbalize this as much, I would say it's easier to be a generalist when you have been a specialist before. And it doesn't matter what your specialization is about. But just because, I studied architecture for 6 years for my master's in engineering, and you've done your master's in engineering, you kind of know what it is like to go deep into something. Yes. And then whenever you talk with anyone who has a different expertise, you know that what it is like to be deep in something. Yeah, I believe that, your career can be chopped into like spots of 5 to 10 years or maybe shorter. And you go really deep into something. But you now also, because you've been specialized before, you know how deep is deep enough to be relevant and to be valuable and all these things. But the generalist part is your curiosity, right? And allowing yourself, you can make all these changes, which I think in today's changing world is needed, because who knows if we still need architects or electrical engineers in a few years.
I think that idea of specialist first, then generalist, and what kind of generalist it makes you. I think that's a very interesting idea, and I fully agree. And in this changing world, I remember the book Range from David Epstein, where he calls this context wicked problems.
Wicked problems.
Wicked problems. Problems that are multidimensional, complex, have aspects that a specialist or only a group of specialists may not be the best set up to handle. So he's talking about this whole concept of, hey, today's business world problems are wicked in nature, and hence generalists will thrive. But again,
right,
it's a lot of us same people talking, but it deeply resonates.
Yeah, I can see where they come from, because you do need people who sort of bring everyone together, right? Which to me is also the changing role of a leader. In the past, it would be, a leader is going to fix this for us. And still in a lot of organizations, that's the culture. Like, we're stuck. Please, leader, tell us what to do. Whereas I think in today's complex world, no single human actually would be able to get the full answer by themselves. So you need to be a bit more generalist or broader beyond your own specialty to actually see how the system links,
and
right?
Empathize.
How to have a system perspective.
Yeah. In a lot of contexts where you go ahead leading multifaceted, multi-speciality teams, I think a lot of times when you walk in, the expectation is you are the one who knows everything or who knows all the answers.
Yeah. And did you?
Never. I think the bummer in those situations is sometimes when you really have to, I think it's quite important to either in a one-shot way or over time bring that clarity to people that, hey, I'm actually not that person who will give all the answers.
Yes.
And the struggle comes from the fact that for a lot of people that, hey, it's not great because a leader is supposed to have all the answers.
Yeah.
I think being honest, being upfront about it sets the right tone and culture with your team. It's quite important because it goes back. So as a generalist, you also need to build credibility with your team.
Yes.
You're leading a group of people who are deep specialists in area somebody has done marketing, somebody is so strong in performance marketing, somebody is so strong in brand, somebody knows how to run the budget in a very tight manner. But hey, actually, I'm not that person who has done each of what you have done for 5 years each. So I cannot. But then how do you see help? Because bringing people around is so important to the success of the team. How do you build that credibility and trust while you're not that person?
Yeah.
For various reasons, you're still that person who can help make a whole, which is either X-folds the sum of parts, and in some exceptional cases, exponentially bigger, right?
Yeah.
Building that trust, building that credibility is so important in your first, let's say, 30, 60, 90 days of leading a new set of people and team, but super critical on how your work will go in that organization in terms of getting the best outcomes for your team and from your team.
Even society doesn't accept that leaders don't know, because I always say this, and maybe I've said this in every single episode, but we're really trained by, the role models in our childhood and Hollywood and, politics and everything, that a leader knows the way, shows the way, and goes the way, or whichever order that is said. That is just impossible in a world where, like, a technology like ChatGPT came out, and within 2 months it had 100 million users, and it disrupted complete industries every time there's an updated model. Like, there's no single human who can predict or know exactly what to do in these cases. And it's what you say, like, it's not easy for a leader, because then the question really is, what is leadership?
Yeah.
What really is leadership? And that we need to redefine.
I think the good news in the AI thing, or the hope, actually, the positive part is, if leadership is not so formula driven, where if you do A, B, C, D, E for a certain amount of time in a certain way, then the end product, which is the perfect leader, is ready.
Yeah.
It's not mathematical like that.
No.
So hence, the whole fear about what will AI do to the future of work means we as humans have a clear, tangible role to play in terms of still bringing us collectively as a race, a group of professionals, to where we want to be. So the value of empathetic human leadership is still very much there in a world that is going to get disrupted by AI.
Oh, this is interesting. So you feel that in a world of AI, it is the human side of us that is going to make us still relevant? Because, there's a lot of people who also say that they prefer to be coached and receive feedback from AI than from their manager.
Oh, wow. I haven't heard that yet, but...
I don't blame them, because it's usually way more like, substantiated, friendly written, like there's not a lot of unexpected emotions coming out. I mean, so yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
Quite interesting. It's the first time I'm hearing that. And you work a lot in the people domain and the whole leadership
and with AI,
area.
yeah.
Is there a room for us to learn ways of doing it better? Absolutely, because it brings a lot of collective wisdom, knowledge from all over, and helps you come up with refined options. But again, I'd see it will still generate a certain set of options for you.
Yeah.
Now, one way could be this whole prompt engineering concept that, hey, it helps me generate options, and then I ask it to tweet. A lot of, for example, I know chats in groups are now, the responses are generated by AI and people just love it, and there's a lot of jokes around it. I do personally believe, or rather hope, that we do bring in net additional value.
Yeah.
Thanks to the empathy aspect, thanks to the very, very complex neural networks that we have,
yes,
which does augment what AI offers to us.
I'm positive, but I do think it's in our own hands, because we have a lot of blind spots and ego that gets in the way, that says AI is great, but it's never going to be able to do this for me or that. We should be curious in AI first and say, okay, how can AI help me with everything, so that it can supercharge us? There's definitely going to be people who, because of their ego and because of their blind spots, are going to be left behind. But I think most people are going to be able to catch up, and then you will see that beyond just efficiency, we're actually going to see effectiveness. So our decisions are going to be better. Our communication is going to be better. I think the quality of our work is really going to level up.
Correct.
And of course, there's a lot of downsides as well. But I'm quite hopeful. I do think, though, that we're not seeing the full use of it yet.
I believe that's the right way to look at it, because it can help you do a lot of things which you're doing already and do more on top of it.
Yes.
So it helps you unlock something on top.
Yes.
You don't so much need to worry about what it is taking away,
Yes.
but what it is enabling me to do, which last time I didn't have mind share,
Yes.
bandwidth, etc. to do. Yeah.
Exactly. What we said earlier, like what is really the role of a leader, and what you said, right? Multiplication, like exponential, or really those parts together, you make something better out of that. And I feel that a lot of that also comes down to making decisions. Because everyone has suggestions, everyone has ideas. And AI, I think, can help us in that as well to take better decisions. But maybe, yeah, when we talk about decisions in uncertainty, how do you go about that? How do you feel about that? What's your magic trick?
There's a partner at McKinsey who I really enjoyed working with. I remember vividly he said this once, and it has stayed with me. He said, leaders are people who get paid to make decisions with incomplete information. That's the job, basically.
It's the job.
Where
True.
you do not shy away from taking the decisions because the consequences scare you,
Yeah.
or you don't have all the right facts in there to make a perfect decision. There's no such thing as perfect decision, right? Again, going back to the point, leader is not the person who has all the answers. While you own the decision, while you own the outcomes, and you set that culture with the team that it is okay.
Yeah.
Like the decisions will always actually be made with incomplete information in some respect or form. How do we do that? And exercises like whiteboarding for problem solving is something I default to a lot, where you can get the right people in the room. What is the objective? What do we know? What are our guiding principles? What is it that we are optimizing for? You put all of that down, you lay down all the questions, you lay down all the options, and then sort of have the team come to the sort of clarity. It may not be consensus. People could have differing point of view, and that is the place where you actually voice it. And there is some power to the artifact or putting it out visually over there. That these are the options, these are the considerations, pros and cons. We are going to go with this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You give the ability to put out everything that is relevant on the board.
Yeah.
And then you own the decision.
Right.
And you roll with it.
Right.
And you do that many times over. It's quite interesting how you start seeing that culture percolate through your teams.
Yeah.
Where the managers of managers, and everyone all the way becomes very comfortable working with what they have and putting out a day one answer, day two answer out there. What comes out in most of these exercises is we sometimes overestimate how little basically we overestimate the lack of information. When you start putting it out there, you realize actually we know a lot about the problem.
Yes.
And we're just not broadening our horizon in that sense. So whiteboarding I love whiteboarding.
I love it. So you're bringing clarity, you're bringing structure, you're bringing transparency. I like that a lot, because if you look at the science behind, why our brain struggles with uncertainty, it's because survival, right? Our brain wants survival, and if it cannot predict what's going to happen, it's going to predict everything. It's going to predict every single option. And then what we do is, oh my God, everything can happen. I'm going to hide under my blanket in the bed until this is all over. And it's never over.
Yeah, never over.
It's never over. Instead, what you're actually doing with the whiteboarding is you are reducing the uncertainty, because you are making so clear what are all the options that are not going to happen, which also makes it less energy consuming for our brain. Actually, if we really sketch out the whole landscape, this is the uncertainty. And then it's more digestible. That's wonderful. What are your thoughts about leading others in this world? Like, what do people need from a leader to thrive in today's world?
If I reflect on my own leadership style or what I have enjoyed in other leaders, I think I would sum it up as overambitious but caring.
Overambitious but caring.
But caring. When you lay out the goals or what you want to achieve together as a team, at the face of it, you'll be like, oh, that's not possible. So having that sense of unachievable in what you collectively aim for as a team is something I see valuable, because that sort of unlocks or pushes everyone beyond good enough, right? How do you set a target that's not just good enough and which the team is going? Because if every time we just aim for the good enough, we aren't going too far.
Right.
We aren't pushing ourselves to get the best we are capable of achieving as a team. So I think that's the overambitious part. Doing your best and then a little more, right? How do you do that, right? Because if you keep doing this over and over with the team, either you're going to lose them,
yes,
or there's going to be a fatigue. Like,
yes,
okay, again,
yes,
again. Why do we need to keep doing this again? I think so. It needs to have a very, very strong foundation of trust, and that comes from caring. Caring means if we fall short because of objective, right reasons, you have your team's back. If that is not there, you will either always see teams hiding behind each other and trying to find ways on why that is not possible, or worrying that if this doesn't happen, I'm going to be thrown under the bus by somebody else. However, if you foster that culture, the caring culture, where you do your best, I have your back, and you yourself own up to times where things didn't go all the way. As a leader, you lead from the front. That sort of puts people at ease, where they themselves are shooting for more than what they can believe. And I've seen this play out many, many times, where initially everyone thought, okay, we can't do this. Just cannot do this. For things as simple as how to run 3 different big initiatives in a city, or how do you survive this month or this quarter after having 30% of your business impact by a completely different or external regulatory topic. A month later or 3 months later, teams finding that not only did they go past survival, they have found a new engine of growth. That ambition and caring aspect. Caring is the foundation. That unlocks the ambition.
So you set this overambitious goal or outlook, and then sometimes for valid reasons, you don't achieve it. How do you determine if reasons are valid and reasons are not valid?
I believe if you're doing it right, the frequency of not reaching there might actually be in the 6 out of 10 range.
6 out of 10 times you don't reach it.
If you're hitting high enough, I think 6 out of 10 is probably where you will not hit it.
Well, I think it also depends, because if those 6 times you still get halfway, it's still further than if you wouldn't have set that goal.
Exactly. One, in those 6 times, so how do you see that, right? A few markers. One, where did you get, right, in the 6 times? And that is why being honest with each other as a team initially is very important, because you do a bit of a calibration and benchmarking. Where do we believe we can get? This quarter, we can get to a sales of X million dollars from this channel. Then you do a bit of a ref check later, or hey, where did we clearly end up? Was our collective wisdom as a team indeed right that we could only go so far, or we've actually outdone ourselves from what we originally thought? So that is an important marker. B, those 4 out of 10 times, good understanding or a look back at what worked differently versus the 6. That's quite important. And again, that reflection or that post-mortem focuses on reasons that are not personalizing the success or attributing the success or what you call failure to individuals or individual behavior, but to more objective, rounded facts. That helps you get a gauge of what is taking us to excellent, and in the places where we fell short, what were the reasons? If in that evaluation you find that the reasons, I mean, it'll just come out. Like, are we, and there are patterns to it as a team. You will find out if somebody is constantly sandbagging. It'll come out. May not come out in first time, but second, third, you will find that out. So that becomes important. And over the long term, team health, stuff like attrition, what is generally the team's barometer, all those things give you a sense of, are you doing it right as a team, or there are some ways to or some areas to course correct.
When you talk about overambitious, I guess this is not just about, oh, I have a target, I'm just going to put 50% on top because let's see how far we can get. But it has, I think, a deeper thinking in this world of disruption. What actually are the bold moves to make if you don't even know what next week technologies are going to be launched or what the markets are going to do or any, random geopolitical incentives? Like, how are you original in your thinking, audacious in your thinking when you set these overambitious targets?
Why should you be ambitious in the first place, right? Give them a reason. If whenever there's arbitrage or too good to be true economics in any market, there's always somebody coming for it.
Yeah.
Are you better off disrupting yourself, or would you have somebody else come and do it for you, and then you are more reactive? I think in a lot of situations, it does resonate with teams that, hey, we actually need to proactively work on this. And case in point, I have seen this with a particular area where the monetization. So there was a very good channel. The monetization on that channel was amazing, but it was too amazing.
Yeah.
It is a substantial part of your business. Then do you start solving for it today, or you just sit on it, you wait for it to slowly wither away, and then you're suddenly finding yourself in an economic situation where you must do something to save your business? It was particularly ambiguous. The need was not, the urgency was not that strong to disrupt what we are doing.
Yeah.
In those situations, just taking the call, the unpopular call on why we need to address it. We are so happy, this is working so well. Why do we need to find another area to monetize the business? You run into those kind of situations, but helping build that platform or that ground for the team that, hey, if you're not doing it ourselves today, we do it ourselves, we can put a method to it. We can do it to our plan.
Yeah.
If not, it's going to become, and so many companies, we've seen so many companies have been disrupted in that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where they were market leaders.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thanks to all the case studies, thanks to HBS.
You don't want to be on that list.
Yeah. Yeah.
In today's world, the team is often also bigger than just the boundaries of your organization, right? That if you were to say team that lies behind the success of your organization are often including people that are not on your payroll and even people that are not even on your payment list as suppliers or partners. It's really an ecosystem approach, especially in the organizations that you have worked. And then beyond that, all kinds of parties involved that have a say about where your business is going to go, where it's going to swing to. How do you, as a leader, I guess, navigate that ecosystem and influence there if you don't have this opportunity to say, I'm going to fire you, or, I'm going to cut your income or whatever? If you don't have these, say, economic pressure, then how do you influence that ecosystem?
A genuine deep interest to create win-win outcomes. I think that is very important, because when you work in that manner with stakeholders outside your direct influence, it comes through. People remember and they're willing to work with you. And I think all of us have some examples or experiences in our journey where we have worked with people where it felt like, hey, this is a zero-sum game. If this person is winning or this team is winning, I definitely have to lose. And I think those kind of conversations don't result, they may result in some immediate outcomes, but over a longer period of time, they don't sustain. So I think bringing a genuine desire to create the win-win is very important, because that'll bring people to the table, get them to talk, and get them to engineer the answer with you. Yeah. So I think that becomes quite important in terms of driving influence outside your own circle of.
Absolutely. And it's often overlooked, There's so many people that come with requests that I read through and I'm thinking, okay, sure, I'm happy to help, but what's in it for me or what's in it for the other party? I guess to have that mindset does not necessarily come natural to everyone. This win-win and finding the win-wins. Is that something that you had to actively train your team on?
It's very common. It's not new in organizations. There will be silos between functions where everyone, and that is not wrong in many ways, because a function is designed to go deep on a certain area and really optimize that to the best in the best possible manner. But again, without connecting the dots, what does the sum end up being is not very clear, right? Bringing everyone to the bigger picture, sometimes taking the ownership that as a leader, that you as the leader are helping the team or taking ownership of the conscious call that we are not going to get max of X, max of Y, max of Z, etc., because that doesn't lead to a global maximum of the overall, right? If you take those decisions, own those decisions, call them out, I think it just, one, sets the tone that this is how we work as an organization, and B, as your leaders mature, they develop that. They see that, because a lot of times in their own function, in their own team or their own area, they're doing that for their teams. Over time, leaders will see that by themselves. And if you don't see that happening, you as a leader need to find that glue, pull people out of their silos, and do that in a gentle way. Especially early on. And again, that comes to individual style, but for me, what works is initially being gentle, but in individual settings, being very assertive in terms of calling that out.
Right.
Because in the end, goes back to the point about being caring, because you're not saying we do this because you think it's right. You are saying this because this actually maximizes the whole. And it is the right direction to head into, right? Otherwise, one person will just be solving for budget and one person will be solving for the perfect campaign. How do you solve for both? And that's where that's what the leader's job is. And typically that's where you see, like in overall, a general manager's KPIs or things that they're accountable for are cross-cutting. But for the teams, it's not obvious to solve for that because their incentives or their KPIs are set up in a certain way. So you also have to be empathetic to that fact, but then continuously keep bringing them together that, hey, we have to do this in a balanced way.
I fully agree, and I like what you're saying. I think a lot is also being said about systems thinking, which this sounds a lot about, okay, can you think beyond your own KPI, which I have also a lot of empathy for many employees in an organization that their own KPI is in the end what has biggest impact on their career, on their salary and income. So you can't blame people for optimizing for their own KPI. But how you set those KPIs across an organization is actually really a craft to get right, because it is like a spider web, right? You pull a little bit and then the whole web is moving into a certain direction.
Yes, I think the whole KPI setting, performance management, there's a whole science to it, right? And we've all been at multiple organizations. We've seen it's very complex. Who's setting the KPIs? The different set of people setting KPIs for X, then different set of people. Then there are the lines and the boxes. It gets super, super complex. I fail to think of an organization that does it perfectly, but I think you just have to keep getting better and better. There are technology, again, like many other areas, has been helping make this whole craft better. There are amazing tools that organizations are now leveraging to align people. The whole OKR process from Google, I think that really works well, but it's quite complex.
I bet also AI could probably help do like a pre-mortem, like, okay, if this is our company KPIs, now let's like switch on. Everybody is like maximizing their KPI. What's happening? Actually, it would be a really good war game to see. That would be a good tool to build.
Again, two people talking who have been in V school and spent a lot of sleepless nights on these. No, I think, that's a pre-mortem is actually a great idea.
How you are caring in more of a public setting with your team, but when you are one-on-one, that you assertively also, hold them accountable to their deliverables. And I'll be honest, like, I mean, we both come from a feedback culture, right? Where we have been drilled into feedback. I have a lot of clients who always ask me, can you teach my people feedback? And I think it's only been in the last year or two that I realized the key to giving good feedback is not about feedback. It's about having set really clear expectations up front. Because if you never set good expectations, you can't really give good feedback. So now I'm making this thing that instead of asking how do you give good feedback, I'm asking people, how do you set good expectations? Because you know what? There isn't a lot of frameworks on setting great expectations with people. And KPIs is part of it. But I do think KPIs is like, you know, a slower cycle, like once a year, once every half a year. But expectations are also, hey, we're meeting this key client next week. And, you know, I want this to go well. How are we thinking about this? So how do you set good expectations with the people that you work with?
One, as you said, constant communication, proactive than reactive. I think feedback coming abruptly delivers more of a shock than developmental value.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Especially in organizations where there's no culture of giving feedback. You call somebody and say, let's have a feedback conversation. The amygdala hijack, right? Oh, something has gone wrong. Or worse, I have done something wrong.
I have done something wrong, yeah.
Think again, say like this whole falls in the craft of creating a very strong people system. I mean, it's a people system. That is what drives the outcomes that we see in businesses, right? In most organizations that I have been since I left McKinsey, I think there was not a very strong feedback culture, and feedback was always seen as this uncomfortable, awkward, difficult conversation. I think the culture is very important. A lot of times the organization may not support it, and you might have to build this by yourself for your team. I think by all means do that, right? And in the conversation, again, like I read somewhere, feedback is a data point. It's not destiny. It's a data point.
Absolutely.
And it is a data point that is supposed to help you. The first part that I do with teams, especially with my direct teams and the skip levels, is meet them and tell them, hey, we are going to have these standing conversations in the calendar. There may be times where we can talk about how is the coffee roast in the place next door where we don't have anything. That's okay. But we will have these standing conversations which are focused on development, your development and my development. Mm-hmm. And in those conversations, it is very, very important to ask, one, how can I help you excel? Very critical. And B, what should I have done better, or what do you think I am doing right now that is helping you and I should continue doing? Because then it becomes two-way and like it's developmental. And it's something positive because, hey, there is somebody here who's asking proactively for it.
Right.
So, sometimes organizations will help you with already set up people systems. Sometimes you'll have to do it, but doing it in a more proactive, planned manner will over time make the teams comfortable that, hey, this is something value adding.
This is something, exactly. It needs to be value adding instead of, oh my God, I don't know what to expect, and I could be yelled at, or I could be this, or I could be that. No, that's never what it should be.
Make it two-way. Sometimes how you structure that conversation, it's also good to contextualize it to the culture of the broader organization. Sometimes it doesn't help to do it in a conference room. Sometimes it is
not in
done in a
rooms,
car ride.
Please. Yes.
It's done in the coffee shop.
Yes.
It's done while taking a walk. Actually, one of the great leaders I worked with would walk around the block. We would walk 2,000, 3,000 steps. Having
Could help
that
me too in my exercise.
Added benefit. It makes you look forward to the conversation, at least for some people in a certain way, right? Seeing what works for your organization, quite important. There is definitely, I believe, some version of it that is right for each organization. You just need to find that fit.
Oh, Aditi asked me for a walk. I wonder what she wants to discuss.
Let's do it.
Let's definitely do it. Wow, Aditi, this has been so amazing. I would have another 100 questions to talk about, but we're at the end of our time. I want to really thank you for coming here today and for all your wonderful wisdom that you shared with us. Thanks
for having me. It's such a pleasure to meet after almost a decade.
I know.
And
Crazy.
lately, I've just been a full-time mother. It's nice to throw in some half-decent set of clothes and then just show up and have something that intellectually stimulates you. So thanks a lot.
I
Thanks
know
for
where
having
you
me.
come from. You're welcome. Thanks for being here.
Cheers.